there is a feeling abroad among the public at large that this has got to go further. He's somehow got to be made to he's got to be punished more. I agree with you. I think just sort of moving from one very large house to a quite large house is possibly not going to cut it. I increasingly think we're starting to look at maybe some sort of move abroad.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
Well, that was King Charles being heckled over what he knew and when about his brother Prince Andrew's association with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The King did not respond, but it comes as the palace is under increasing pressure to order Prince Andrew to leave Royal Lodge, his residence at Windsor. Let's talk to the Daily Mail's Robert Hardman, author of Charles III, The Inside Story. A very good evening to you, Robert.
Evening, Carol.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Quite unusual for the King to be heckled like that, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It doesn't. Normally, royals are not heckled because they're not political figures. They don't and can't answer back. I mean, I think we need to put it in context. This is not some, aggrieved ordinary member of the public. This is someone from the pressure group Republic, which campaigns very actively to get rid of the monarchy. And so this was, I would call it more of a stunt or a protest rather than a sort of, cry of anguish. But yeah, it's unusual. And you could hear from the voices around the shouter, the vast majority of the crowd were appalled by this.
But it does, of course, perhaps serve as an illustration that there is a wider anger, isn't there, at Prince Andrew, facing all these allegations about his links with Jeffrey Epstein, still living in this huge mansion at Windsor Great Park. Do you think he will be forced out of Royal Lodge?
Yes, I do. I think it's heading in that direction. Up until now, the position was that they couldn't really move Prince Andrew because he had a cast iron lease on the place. I mean, leasehold law is such: if you've got a lease and you stick to the terms of the lease and you make sure the property is maintained, then you're there, you're fine. But I think it has got to the point in the last few days, following on initially from the statement about no longer using his titles. I think if the palace, and certainly if the Duke, thought that was the end of the matter, public opinion moved rather differently, and I think it looks increasingly likely that it's just sort of untenable. The court of public opinion won't wear it. And illegally.
And now we're hearing that apparently Prince Andrew and his former wife Sarah Ferguson, who've been living together despite their divorce, are now asking for two houses instead.
Yeah, I mean, talks are ongoing. I mean, I don't know what any negotiation. I suppose you kind of you aim high in order to sort of meet halfway. But I simply can't see. I can't see the King wearing that, and I can't see the public wearing that either. I mean, the fact is that provision was made for the Duchess when she divorced the then Duke back in 1996. Yes, they do live together some of the time. I mean, it's sort of been an on and off arrangement in recent years, but I think that's I don't think that's going anywhere.
Do you think that the King realises quite the extent the extent of public anger on this, and is perhaps prepared to take some much tougher action? I mean, I just wonder whether, even if he is made to move to a slightly smaller property on the Windsor estate, whether anyone is going to be satisfied with that, particularly with the prospect of potentially more details being unveiled by that congressional committee in the United States that's trying to get all those Epstein files released. And it seems as though every week we are hearing more about this. Isn't there a danger that whatever the king does now, and especially if it is just a move to a slightly smaller property, that is not now, as you say, in the court of public opinion, going to go far enough?
Well, I think that's a very good point, Carol. I mean, the fact is that this is not a sort of autocracy. He's not a sort of medieval monarch. I mean, the king can only do what he can do. He can't order. He can't evict Prince Andrew from this house. The house actually belongs to the Crown Estate, which ultimately answers to the Treasury, the government, and therefore us. There's definitely a role for politicians in this. There's a sort of default position you keep hearing from ministers saying, "Oh, this is one for the royal family." It's kind of not, actually. If the public are now seeming, aren't content with the fact that Prince Andrew has said he's no longer going to call himself Duke of York, they want him stripped of the title of Duke of York. Well, if that's going to happen, that's for politicians. That's for Parliament to decide. The king can't just magic away a dukedom, and similarly, if Andrew's going to, some people are saying, well, he should no longer be a prince. Well, I think that's taking things to an extreme, because the last person to actually have the title of prince removed from them was the Duke of Cumberland in the First World War. At the time, he was fighting for the Kaiser. Whatever Andrew has done, and however deplorable people may think he is, and whatever one's view of him, I mean, you can't take away the fact he hasn't betrayed his country. He's fought for his country. So, taking away the prince, I think people might feel that's possibly going too far. But certainly there is a feeling abroad among the public at large that this has got to go further. He's somehow got to be made to he's got to be punished more. I agree with you. I think just sort of moving from one very large house to a quite large house is possibly not going to cut it. I increasingly think we're starting to look at maybe some sort of move abroad.
Well, we're out of time, otherwise we would explore that further. But Robert Hardman of the Daily Mail, author of Charles III, The Inside Story. Really good to have your insight on this. Thank you so much.